Greg McLaughlin with the Forest Fire Service says there's been 4
weather conditions right now are conducive to fire start, fast fire spread, very intense fires overall.
Really sunny skies, it'll be warm, a bit breezy in the atmosphere.
There's a code 47 or US 47 code 606 for a wartime president. If a war jumps out during an election, it just happens to be US 47. Like is in the 47th president, this thing's gonna jump out. And it just so happens to be that Donald Trump was elected as the 47th president. All right. In the bill, from what I can remember, I took a screenshot of it. It's it's something along the lines where even though a president well, no, wait a minute, that's if it's in his second term. Oh yeah, that's right. Joe Biden's only in his first term. A wartime president, if a war bust out like it did in World War II, and I think it was Abraham Lincoln and some other president, that when war broke out, they won the election anyway. So it didn't pertain to like what's happening now. But if there is a wartime president in term during his second term, the only way he can continue is if, but again, Joe Biden's in his first term. The only way it can continue is if he either dies of like a coronavirus hemorrhage that hasn't happened yet, or resigns. And that's exactly what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden resigned. He already resigned. And it says something about then the vice president would be like considered the wartime president, apparently, or whatever. If Joe Biden resigns or dies of illness. So Kamala Harris yesterday, and I just watched Jacob Israel's video, and he was saying the same thing about, again, Jacob Israel knows everything. He knows the future inside and out. He writes the scripts, and he'll always just say that he doesn't know anything. Just makes it a point to say it for some reason. But even he was saying that it sounds like some type of fighting words with Kamala Harris, because look at the horsies. How do you become a horse riding cop in Philly? But even Jacob was saying that what I had already screenshot yesterday is that, or I think this morning, Kamala Harris Philly Art Museum. That's where all the magic happens. Kamala Harris She concedes the loss, but she won't concede the fight. And knowing that Jacob, you know, all those dreams Jacob Israel has, and he just always seems to be right with his dreams about Trump and coming back, and the exact same thing that I was saying, which I made sure I said it beforehand, that Trump was going to come back after the loss. He's going to have a wounded head. He's going to live. And Kamala Harris becomes the first female woman president after Joe Biden's shot. And then, so right now, Joe Biden, apparently his brain is shot, but then I said / hemorrhage. Now, the hemorrhage didn't happen. It could happen. It could still, you know, Joe Biden basically, once he is considered dead, before the inauguration happens, the inauguration isn't going to happen. You know why? Because World War III, second 9/11, 3 weeks of Daniel, takes place in Philadelphia before that happens. With it's I've always seen, here's what I've always seen that I've been shown: the number 50 all the time, $50 bill, 17th and JFK, Chase Bank. It's on the back of a $50 bill. You fold it up. Jonathan Kleck shows you how when you fold the US currency of his artwork that's on the money, that the bombings are taking place in the future, along with the first 9/11 bombings that are printed on the $20 bill. But then when you take those $20 bills and you fold it, it turns into a pyramid when it shows the two towers going down. But when you turn those pyramids upside down, to me it represents not William Penn, but not yet, Liberty 1, Liberty 2, being the twin towers that go down this time around in Philly, and the $50 bill, Chase Bank. That's why the Chase Bank in Ohio, was that Ohio? Blew up, but that was tied in with a gas leak, just like supposedly the Sandman Hotel gas leak that was leading into the breadcrumb of the world script. So, listening to Jacob, considering how he's talking about Trump being Nebuchadnezzar, I've thought before Stephen James is Jacob Israel, the second half. You know, you got the man of sin, and then you got the son of perdition. Because it's like, when you act like you don't know anything and you're the one writing the script, as a younger version. So but Jacob Israel, it's like, you know, you all point to yourselves as if you're the same damn person. It's just at times like nauseating. I'm trying to figure this stuff out and I can't help myself to be able to stop doing it. It's like almost impossible, because I'm so far deep into the scripture. I want to figure out who is who in this zoo. But Jacob is the main guy on YouTube right now with the information, the sorcerer. He's one of them. He's either Donald Trump or Elon Musk, that I've concluded. I can't conclude anybody else. I mean, I've said Joe Biden maybe, but Donald Trump is the one that lost his presidency, and then once he first began 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and then he got cut off halfway through, like the Messiah, and then he comes back, and now he's inaugurated. So the script to me is getting a little bit clearer, and I'm pretty sure I nailed this one down. Not because I went over and watched Jacob Israel for a moment. It's just after doing that, knowing that he says things that he says are going to happen in the future, but he doesn't really know. He just had a dream. Whatever you want to call it, a dream, like dream state here where I'm at. I'm in this dreamland. It's a nightmare because it is. It's a nightmare. It's not. I don't feel nice and cozy and at home. I feel like pending doom is coming, and I'm constantly getting attacked by the devil. By design, because that's God created it that way. That way I can endure and be the one to show. All I need is people's attention. I need people's attention in this simulation, meaning everybody that's attached to me, that knows me in person, whether it's family or friends or co-workers, because there's really only 3 categories. I need everybody's attention, and I need them to take me serious, like Jacob Israel and Stephen James and Jonathan Kleck and Derek Bros and Steve Benoon and you guys, how you take me seriously, because you already know what I did. I don't know what I'm going to do before it happens, but I can tell you what I plan on doing, and that's getting the attention of everybody on the planet. How do I do that? Well, I predict the most major, catastrophic, world-dominating news event ever in the history of existence, worse than the first 9/11. And that would be the second 9/11 in Philadelphia. The one that Jonathan Kleck is going to cause. Now, the reason I say that is because he's the artist. It's his artwork on U.S. currency. He's the only person on the planet that somehow figured out how to fold money, and here comes the bombings on the U.S. currency. It's like nobody can ever possibly even have a thought to even think that up, to even do that whatsoever. But if you're Jonathan Kleck, the Lord told him. At times I feel like Jonathan Kleck's my twin, copying everything that I do, like everything that I do. Does he have good intentions with it? Does he have bad intentions? Is he like Judas, or is he like John, or is he like Judas, or is he like Jonathan, Saul's son, Stephen James, Saul's son, Paul, Trump, the Apostle Paul, Saul? Did I have it right the first time, Steve? Because Peter seems to become more of an offense to me at this time, these times right now. Peter, the one who has the keys to the kingdom of heaven. When are you going to open up the door and unlock the keys of the kingdom of heaven, Peter? Now, Kamala Harris, again, all these are all thoughts that there's no way I can possibly know what, if everything is going to be tied together and it's true that I'm saying, like, who people are. But I know for a fact that everybody on the mainstream media, the most famous people, have the YouTube channels, and I already have caught up to all of you. But I'm trying to figure out what other character you are, and then not only what other singular character, but how many other characters you are that we see that are famous all throughout the world, whether they're rock stars, singers, musicians, political people, Hollywood actors, or whatever. Or Khadijah Wiley, the one that the only one talks about sperm as much as Khadijah. Mr. Wiley is Jonathan Clegg. He likes to take little shots at masculine sperm cells because that's why he drew the portrait of Barack Obama with the serpent being in the garden. Now, is Barack Obama really the serpent in the garden? The dark figure? Is Stephen James the serpent in the garden? Or is it somebody else? The fact of the matter is, everybody plays a role very similar, and that's the whole purpose. Because considering you're all actors, the ones that act like they're the friendliest kind, they just may be the serpent in the garden, because Satan comes as an angel of light. Steve didn't come as an angel of light, I can tell you that. He, not towards me, nah, not at all. Maybe in the beginning he didn't even come like an angel of light, really. Like, Jonathan Clegg is more of an angel of light figure, but he speaks like a dragon, so how can you really be an angel of legitimate light when you speak like a dragon? Unless you learned the dragon's language, like I did, as an angel of actual light, and not coming as an angel of light, but being the angel of light, not coming as, but being. So anyway, the Donald Trump situation, as I'm dissecting it more, Kamala Harris isn't going away. She didn't become, like, Joe Biden didn't step down. He didn't resign for no reason. And they're talking about a peaceful transition. They're also talking about the world being peace and security. We all know what happens when they say that. I'm not going to get the world's attention until that event happens in Philadelphia exactly the way I've seen it. Because devastation gets people's attention. And if you can be the one to predict devastation, well, then you can be the one to get people's attention pretty quickly, knowing that I'm not from the inside. And all I did was truly prophesy that it would happen. I didn't have any dreams or visions. Well, I mean, I had visions, I guess, I suppose. I visualize what's coming, but I don't get how the false prophets portray for you to believe how they got their vision, as if they see things just like God gives them this extravagant 3D in color type of a flat screen TV vision in their brain about what's coming. Or dreams, like Jacob Israel says he has dreams, but his dreams he's talking about is just simply in this realm right here, which is the dreamland. But again, perception is like when Jonathan Clegg lays hands on people. That's only if you truly show them my videos. That's it. If you show them my videos of what me and you have been talking about, you can lay hands on people. You have the keys to the kingdom of heaven if you just tell people about me instead of doing the tactics of what you've been doing recently. I don't know, where you at, Johnny? It's been like a week. I'm waiting for your reaction. Maybe your jaw, maybe you got to pick your jaw up from the ground. Maybe it's dropped too much. But how can it even drop if you already know what I'm going to do? Like, that's the thing. How do you even get wowed with me with anything when you had already seen it apparently in the future? Or I guess what it is that's your reaction. So okay, so let's say you're 1,000 years ago or whatever. Your reaction is when you watched my video from before I even did it, and then you get up and do a reaction video. I like reaction videos better because that would be for the first time you're seeing what I did, but I already did it like a couple thousand years ago, or however long ago. I don't know how that works. Because I said that Donald Trump is going to create a war in order for him to stay in as the president. When the insurrection happened at the Capitol building in January 6, 2021, Donald Trump was still the president. So if a war broke out, if a war broke out and it was considered World War III, even though he lost the election, wouldn't that have made him still stay in as the president because that was only his first term? So as everybody is, this is the twist in this script, is everybody's so pissed off that Kamala Harris didn't win. The ones that can't, you can't see that it's all script. Everybody's part of the same team anyway. Team Lucifer. And it's only if Lucifer changes his mind that things change. Because other than that, ain't nobody doing anything except for what he tells you to do. I mean, not me, but y'all. So last presidency of Donald Trump started the war and it was official, he would have stayed in as the president, regardless if he lost, right? And then US 47 Code 606, if there's a war that breaks out during the election, and if the president is in for a second term, the only way it can continue for that party is if the vice president takes over because the current president dies or resigns. So we're not even at that point because Joe Biden is only in his first term, and World War III is absolutely going to be either declared, looking like it's going to be declared, rumored to be declared, whatever you want to call it, and Kamala Harris will become the first female woman president, even though Donald Trump is already in. And this is what the twist is. It's a twist of your emotions. If you get tied into this political nonsense of this world script soap opera, and you think your vote counts and all that, well, it doesn't. It's already been predetermined. And it's kind of funny in a way, like, is it evil? Is it good? Is it evil to mess with people's emotions? And it's like, well, yeah, that's messed up, man. Why can you do it? Well, you're the one attaching your feelings to it. And you're the one, let's face it, dumb enough to believe at a certain point, like I was just as dumb, to believe that the election is something that you hope that more people can vote to get a certain person elected. We're deceived, all of us. So when I had thought that my vote count, I was fooled once. I was definitely fooled by George Bush. I had no idea when he was down there, ground zero, talking to the firefighters with the megaphone. He's like, and the people that did this, as he's pointing back to himself. George Bush, George Kleck Bush Jr., the first 9/11 culprit. And then right after 9/11 happened, he just so happened to figure out how to fold the money and come up with the bombings. Like, come on, Johnny. Please, Jonathan, tell your father, Saul, to leave me alone. And you're all gonna die and be slain on Rocky Mount Gilboa due to 40 different songs of 24 artists to finish it off with the Rolling Stones, and then to turn the next chapter to go down the top 10 list, because I'm coming for yous. I'm coming for all the top 10 rock bands in the world. And I'm going to go into that art museum one after another, and I'm going to catch up to you. Mark my words. ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin, and the rest of the top 10. Because I started with the Rolling Stones, they're number one. The Beatles, you're coming up at some point. I think Pink Floyd's I already got Pink Floyd's. So this one, I'm going to have to title this one something that I can really remember to go back to. Because I think this time around, I think I nailed it. Because whether Donald Trump gets back in, I don't know how that works. But Kamala Harris, Jonathan Kleck, he's not talking about Kamala Allah rising from the pit. He would not spend so much time talking about something that he didn't know was going to happen. Like, in other words, when he does all the Barack Obama, the Antichrist, and the bombings printed on U.S. currency, and future bombings going to happen, and unless he goes out like a whimper, like how Saul kind of like went out with not a bang, and his kids were all slain on that mountain of Gilboa from Rocky Balboa. He wouldn't spend so much time talking about something like that. All that time and effort for it not to happen. It doesn't make sense that you would do so much wasting of your time just to put people in fear. Like, I know that you're saying the world's going to end, we're all going to die, and fear porn pushing towards the poor sheep that believe you. But that's your purpose, is to do that. And so kind of like Kamala Harris is saying, get ready, get mobilized, what Jacob Israel is saying. In other words, get ready for war because it's coming. And it's not that Kamala Harris is going to create it, but Jonathan Kleck creates it, because I believe if you talk about somebody so much, it's because you're that person, or you're in cahoots with that group. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar being compared to Donald Trump, according to Jacob Israel, who has the world script in his hand, just like Steve and James does. Whether he's the first and second beast, the first beast, wounded head, and then second beast, two horns like a lamb, like Jacob Israel, but being the same person. being the same character makes more sense to me in that sense. But two horns like a lamb speaks like a dragon. A false prophet, someone that claims they don't know anything, but yet they have the script. Or even with Jonathan Click, don't call me a false prophet, or Click's a false prophet, and don't call me, do anything else, but don't call me a false prophet, because you're blaspheming the Holy Spirit. No, not when their discernment is correct. I've held in there for a long time hoping that Jonathan Click is just acting like he's not saved. Like having a conversion, saying he has a conversion, but also at the same time acting like he's not saved but is saved. Acting like he's the serpent but he's not the serpent. Pointing fingers at himself as if he's the Barack Obama, but not Barack Obama, because somebody else is. Either way, you're either one or two. Number one or number two. The dragon, the beast, or the false prophet. It's one or the other. One of the three. So if the dragon is Elon Musk, as Jacob Israel claims, then Elon Musk is Jacob Israel, the dragon. If he gives his power to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump just so happens to be King Nebuchadnezzar, Stephen, James, and Sean, well, then he gives his power to him, and then the next beast that comes up has two horns like a lamb, speaks like a dragon, then I guess that would be Kamala Harris, and that would be Jonathan Click rising up. Two horns like a lamb, speaking like a dragon. Kamala. But here's the thing, isn't Muhammad Allah's prophet? And Allah, isn't Allah considered the dragon, Satan? That old serpent, the devil. That's why it's so confusing, because at times you see people talking about the dragon, the beast, the false prophet, and then they claim it's the Antichrist, and the Antichrist is the beast, but then yet the Antichrist is the false prophet, but yet the Antichrist is the one that is the first beast with the wounded head, and the false prophet is the one that he's one of the Antichrist, but he causes all those to worship the first beast. And like Joe Biden being shot, causing his own political party to basically turn against him and tell him to step down or whatever. It's like he causes all those to worship Donald Trump, the first beast whose deadly wound was healed by handling losing. And not only that, his ear got pierced. So as God's servant, his ear had got pierced by God, and now he becomes God's servant, the one that does God's bidding and changes everything. So I see the war taking place before the inauguration of 2025, before January 20th, 2025. In all likelihood, that's where we're heading at. Because Kamala Harris, if you're Allah, if you're representing Allah Harris, then you're not leaving without absolute devastation being caused in order to become the president. So maybe it's like, you know, the war starts. Here you go. Here's a really good one here. The war starts before the inauguration. Joe Biden is still considered the president technically, even though he resigned technically. And so regardless, if he resigns technically and a war breaks out, well, Kamala Harris becomes the sitting president. So if you take that past the inauguration and Kamala Harris is the president because Joe Biden is either shot, or he dies of his coronavirus hemorrhage sickness, his head explodes, or he just dies of the sickness, period, or because considering the fact that he already resigned, basically, Kamala Harris rises up from the pit like the angel at the bottomless pit. Here comes Johnny. Johnny ain't leaving without a bang. And it's going to look like Kamala Harris is going to be in for the next 4 years. But something happens because of that second 9/11 in Philly, and I predicted it exactly the way it's supposed to be. And there's a 3-week period, a 3-week holdup, whenever that day is. Maybe it's instead of 11/9/2024, like 9/11 backwards, it's Christmas. Just like the Nashville bombing, just like the gnashing your teeth. They wait until Christmas, and then it happens. That's the gift. That's the on the back of a $50 bill. There's a reindeer with Chase Bank exploding around the 3rd floor or so, smoke, and to represent Christmas. 555 $50 bill, and then at 8:48 a.m. be still, know that I am God, because that's what Barack Obama said. That's what Jonathan Kleck wanted to show me. He wouldn't have shown me that timeline for no reason. Barack Obama wouldn't have said it at 8:48 a.m. on September 11, 2011 for no reason. And Liberty 2 in Philadelphia, one of the Twin Tower pyramid mirrors, wouldn't be 848 feet tall for no apparent reason. So with all those connections, being in Philadelphia, having a little bit of strength, Jonathan Kleck claiming to be the angel of the Church of Philadelphia, but more like the angel of the Church of Laodicea. Unless you have the keys of the kingdom of heaven, then maybe you could be like that, like a Peter type. But at the time being, it seems more like the exact opposite of the angel of the church. Because who's really going to admit who they are? Nobody. The rule of thumb is you don't admit who you are. You can't. That's the whole thing. It's like a red flag flies up, and as soon as you try to admit, or as soon as you try to say you're somebody, that means you're not. So in Philly, which is the target, the angel of the Church of Philadelphia having a little bit of strength, Philadelphia itself being fulfilled in literal form, having no strength, being the target, Kamala Harris rising up as Allah from the pit, Joe Biden either dies, hemorrhage, or simple fact that he already resigned qualifies Kamala Harris to become the president, which is in line. It's more in line like that, where no, Joe doesn't die. He was shot. His head was shot. I mean, his brain is shot. I had said that Kamala Harris was going to become the first female president after Joe Biden's head wound is shot. But I also said that Donald Trump was going to come back after this head wound in 2020, after handling losing before he lost, and the fact that he was going to get shot in the ear in July on Saturday at a rally in Pennsylvania, where it would be the tie, and it would be blamed on Iran, and it would be in his ear, a head wound, and he would live again to tell the story. Here he is. That happened. It's fulfilled. There's so many details. That's why I predict things in great detail, and when it comes true, I go back to the videos and prove that that's what I had said. And I'm not Jacob Israel. I don't have the world skirt, although I have it in my mind, but I didn't write it. Although it's in scripture, but they're copying it. But that's what everybody does. They copy the Bible, God, Christ, everything. So whether Donald Trump gets back in so Kamala Harris becomes the first female woman president because she becomes a war president. There you go. She becomes a war president because Joe Biden already resigned. Doesn't that mean that he doesn't, even if war starts, doesn't that mean that he had already given up his position and it goes to the vice president and she becomes the actual first female president as a war president, yes, that's how I'm seeing that portion. And then maybe Joe Biden gets raptured up out of here or something, and or he gets or it's an assassin. Now, why would he get assassinated? No, Kamala Harris gets assassinated. There you go. If Donald Trump gets back in office after he's already the president-elect, 47, and Code 606 U.S. 47 states that a wartime president, the vice president, can become, I'm paraphrasing it, the sitting president, the wartime president, if the actual president himself, even if he was in his second term, either dies or resigns, then the vice president can become the president. And so Kamala Harris is going to become the president, even though Joe Biden stepped down, even though Donald Trump already won, even though the victory laps have already been taking place, everybody's excited about Trump, and then the rug gets pulled out from beneath their feet because the war starts, and it's like, oh, no, sorry, Trump, no, it's Kamala's turn, and then she gets her time of darkness, the time of tribulation, the female rival, the Jonathan Kleck twin brothers from Demon Brothers coming up from the pit to take those sheeple down at the William Penn building. And there's some type of, maybe it starts there with a riot, and the William Penn building, it starts with there, and then when the second 9/11 is actually considered, it begins with a bang, like the 17th and JFK, Chase Bank, and Liberty 1, Liberty 2. And so Kamala becomes the president, wartime president. Joe Biden, whether he's dead, coronavirus or not, doesn't matter. She still becomes the president, even though Donald Trump already won, and everybody's flipping out, who hates his guts and is all deceived by everything, is picking Kamala. Then she comes back with vengeance and destruction in her heart to do away with many. But then after 3.5 days, let's say she's actually the inaugurated president on January 20th, 2025, because the war began and Donald Trump isn't. But then what if she gets assassinated and none come to her help? I don't know how that works. Or it's the fact that she really does get in and stays in for the next 3.5 years, 3 years, 4 years as the Antichrist, like the real one. And Donald Trump wasn't. And then if that's the case, well, then the rapture would happen too. I believe January 24th, 2025, because in the book of Daniel, it's the first, Daniel's people are delivered on the 24th day of the first month. And that's 3 days after the inauguration, which is perfect timing. And if Kamala Allah rises from the pit and takes over truly for the next 3.5 years as the Antichrist, and it's really Jonathan Kleck who really has taken my position, like my side position, and he's supposed to come in and kill everybody. Well, what happens is halfway through, the Antichrist turns on his own people because he's in my favor. And the 24th day of the first month of January 2025, it's also the rapture, right? Airplanes falling from the sky, that whatever happens, and everybody's disappearing, and alien invasion, and Donald Trump leaves, and all the people that are supposed to be saved disappears, and then it looks like we're all screwed because we're all left behind. But everybody gets delivered on the 24th of January because it's the first month, 24th day of the first month. So I think that's it. I think that's the one that's more likely to happen now, because it seems like it's a done deal. Donald Trump won fair and square, but you know what? Kamala Harris will not. What did she say? Succeed? No, succeed. Suspense? No. What is that word? I will not concede. Concede. There you go. She's not conceding the fight. She's going to keep fighting. She concedes the fact that she lost, but guess what? There's a fight coming. And the fight is, you create the event of World War III. But if Kamala Harris would have won, which is impossible because that's not part of the script, but if she did win, then it wouldn't even matter what Trump does, because he wouldn't be able to be the president anyway. But the only thing I'm seeing here is, if Trump is as if he's King Nebuchadnezzar, and he does receive his kingdom back, because King Nebuchadnezzar did receive his kingdom back, just like Steve, after 7 years. And God turns back to him because he knows that it's time for him to speak for him. Then Donald Trump ain't going anywhere unless he gets raptured. And then if he's the president and he gets raptured, then J.D. Vance takes over as the vice president. Look, nobody can really be sure as to who the Antichrist really is in the system itself until the event takes place. Because Joe Biden, if he was looked at as the Antichrist, well, his time's up. And if he was, well, then that means the Antichrist time is already up, and the rest is just falling into place, vapors from the Antichrist mess. We're in mop-up mode. We'll find out what happens. So today is November 7th, 2024. I'm leaning more towards Christmas. There's only really 2 dates of the second 9/11 in Philly, with the event taking place. 11/9, so that's 9/11 backwards. Because in the Eminem video, Lose Yourself, when he's walking up towards that payphone, just like Matrix, Neo, fighting somebody, it shows the address 8461 in the background, and I believe we're in 8,459 days today from the first 9/11. 846 would be tomorrow, evening, morning, depending on the timeline. 840, 8461, 8460. The first tower was hit 9/11, 8:46 a.m. And Eminem wouldn't have that address in the background for nothing. Everything's specifically, strategically put in place for me to see it. It's almost like all I gotta do is just watch something and record it. And whatever comes next is gonna line up with what was supposed to be. And I'm just recording stuff. So to me, that's the power of God, that I just gotta just submit and stop trying to figure out how it's possible. Just knowing that I'm able to show it and do it and record music videos and not get paid for it, and just keep continually doing it until something pans out. I mean, what else can I do? I know I have this ability that I'm not just gonna go crawl and hide under a bed and act like I can't produce some miraculous things that Jonathan Klett claims to produce, which technically he does when he's talking about the things that me and him communicated with over the years. But still, I think at this time, I'm just going against the grain. I just feel like yous are all acting, even if you act like you're against me, you're such a, like Steve, he's act so much like he's against me, but I'm his top number one. Because he works for someone, period, end of story. It's either he's a CIA snitch, FBI related, or he works for somebody, period, end of story. Yeah, I work for somebody, but I don't get a damn paycheck from the work. And I know that in the end, that's the reward, because I'm willing to do it for free, without a purse, without a script, like all your employees with their scripts and purses, like literally and figuratively. It's exhausting being me. But I can't stop. I just need to rest here and there, and then I get recharged. That's all it is. Just the deeper you can sleep, the more recharged your batteries get. I would rather Trump be the president for the next 4 years. Set shit straight. Tell the truth. Meet up with them in person. On TV. Because of the event that happened in Philly. Because of the second 9/11. Because of how I knew he was going to get shot in his ear in a rally and all that stuff and live. And even though I voted for him. This is his comeback. But is he really like King Nebuchadnezzar, or is he more like Caesar? Because if he's Caesar, or not Caesar, did I say Caesar? Yeah, Caesar. Then all of God's people go back to their land. He sets them all free. But then who would be King Nebuchadnezzar? Is that, it's like, I don't know, if King Nebuchadnezzar, well, that's if he lost everything, which he did, and he's coming back, and we're towards the end. Then who would be Caesar? Would that be, I don't know. God, man, I'm so tired of thinking about it. Why can't you all just come clean and stop having me guess? Because that's not the way it works, Rob. You have to figure it out on your own. Nobody's going to tell you jack shit. You have to figure it out, and we'll confirm it, whether it's a yay or a nay. Just as long as you can read us in spirit, because we're such double talk, triple talkers that we confuse everybody. So what's the name of this video? Something along the lines of future, I think I nailed it. There you go. So something like, I think I nailed it. Final presidential outcome of 2025. There, something along those lines. Finally, it's here. So the 3 weeks of Daniel, Kamala Harris taking over. Yeah, there you go. From Christmas until the inauguration. Well, no, that's 20. What is that? It's 27 days. 27, 20. We need a 21-day period. Even like New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. If it happens on New Year's Eve, which is the same as Christmas Eve, then there's a 21-day period until the actual inauguration as the wartime president. But if Kamala Harris gets taken out and none come to her help, I don't know how that works with walls in there. And then who takes over from that point on. It's definitely going to be something that never happened before. That's a guarantee. It's going to be something that's never happened before. And in the with a really good scripted written movie, it would be something with that twist.